Hello, we are the D&D Encounter Facilitator 2021 Senior Project Group. My name is Charlie Treat, and I am with my partners Harrison Green and Daniel Opdahl. And today we'll be walking you through our whole project, basically our architecture, our design, and then we'll be showing you how our application works.
Yeah, I'll go first. So the goal of our project was started back in last spring when we all had to quarantine because of COVID-19. We played Dungeons and Dragons with a group of friends here at Luther, but we found that playing online was difficult because there was no explicit tool that did everything that we needed in order to facilitate our Dungeons and Dragons combat. And so the goal of this project was to create a useful and free tool to facilitate online D&D battles. In particular, we've added a couple of features that we know other simulators lack, such as our initiative tracker. It's also one of the only free battle facilitators out there. And so we've tried to build our tool with those two aspects in mind. In terms of high-level design, our front end is built up with JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Pretty straightforward stuff. We use Socket.io to communicate between the front and the back end. We use jQuery UI as a library to facilitate some of the fancier stuff that goes on in browser. Our back end is a Python Flask with an SQLite 3 database. And again, we use the Socket.io to facilitate the synchronous gameplay. We also use Jinja for templates, WTF forms for input validation. We also wrote our tests in PyTest, and we also use a little bit of the Google OAuth library for login stuff. And now Harrison is going to talk about application.
Yeah, so, I mean, we have a nice diagram. There's really not much to say because we want to spend the majority of our time on our actual demonstration, but generally speaking, you're either an authenticated user or a guest, and so depending on which one it is, that'll dictate what you can do. Guests can only watch games, whereas authenticated users can DM games, join games, watch games, create characters, create rooms, and yeah, that pretty much covers it. Additionally, here's our database structure. There's not really much to say, just to show how everything connects. So our project, it's hosted on GitHub for the actual source code. It's a private repository, so you guys unfortunately can't actually access it. We plan on continuing to work on it after graduation. So that's the main reason that it is still private. But we do have our Heroku build, which now we will be showing you.
Awesome. Thanks, Harrison. I'm going to edit this part out while I switch over. Okay. So let me start from the beginning. And once you come to our application using the URL we showed you, you'll be brought to the home screen. And once you're here, you'll have very little functionality available to you until you log in. This is where if you wanted to spectate a room, you could enter in the ID number into this form here. And then you would press choose a room, and you would get that ID number from the group that was currently playing the game. And they would you probably would receive that from them, either over email or text, however you communicate with your D&D group. And then from here, if you wanted to get into the real meat of the application, you're going to want to click login. And this will bring you to the Google sign-in page From here, you're going to want to use a Google account that that you'll verify here. And I have already signed into this one before, so it didn't ask me for my password, but it brings me straight to the home screen. And whenever you're a new user, you have to also choose a username. And let me just show you what that looks like really fast and bring you through a user I have not played with before. So this is my other Google account. I'll log in. And here it will prompt me to create a new username that has not been taken before. It has to be completely unique, so I'll go with Chuckles. Set my username, and now here I am logged in, and my account has been saved inside of our database. So if I come back, my username is saved. Now I'll go back to my other one and sign in, and I'll show you guys how it looks when you have all these features available and what you can do. First, before you enter a room, it's recommended that you enter your character information in. I've already created one of my characters. This one's Yanko, and I'll show you how that's done. So first you can press create a character, and then you're going to enter in all the information you need for use in the game. Right now, the main pieces of information that we need are your character name and your character icon. We've left all these forms here available just so that your character sheet is saved through our database, and we can use that information once we add more features. But for now, I'm just going to enter in some basic information just to fill the forms up. And then down here at character icon, you can either leave this empty and your Google profile picture will be used as your character icon, or you can go on Google and find an image that you want to use, and it has to be an image hosted online. We don't currently have functionality that allows players to save the character's icon into our application directly. So I've pulled up this link for convenience sake, and now I'm going to enter it in here, and you can see what that's going to look like right there. Once I add the character, it'll bring me back to the character screen. And yeah, now I can go back in if I wanted to and edit things and change different things about my character if I wanted to. And let's say I change his name to Mario. And now he's had his name changed and everything else stayed the same. And I can also remove characters that I don't want anymore simply by pressing the trash button. I'm going to hold on to these characters for now and show you some of the functionality that we've added to our rooms. And here is where you're going to, as a DM, create your encounters. And you'll do that by first pressing create room. And once you're at this screen, you can enter in the name of your room to try and just keep track of what encounter you're working with. I'll call this one Dungeon Battle because my players will be fighting in a dungeon. And then you can make some notes to remember how many enemies you're fighting or what have you, any information that you need to remember about this specific encounter. And I'll also just note that around the screen you can sort of see the different features that will be available to you once you enter the room. This is sort of formatted in the same way that the actual encounter will look. So once you press add room, you'll be brought to the room screen that we were just at. And you can sort of see that it got added, but also it looks very similar to one of the ones I added previously. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to change the map image real quick and say battle map image. And that'll bring me to this one. I'm going to say open image in new tab. And then what you need to do whenever you're adding an image to adding it to the form, you need to make sure it ends with the proper image extension. That's the only time that we will allow it to it will actually work. So just making sure that we get a good image here, don't have any problems. Okay. So what we're doing here is effectively image scraping from the web. Sometimes it can be a little slow, so I'm just going to see if this one will accept the image. Okay, it looks like it didn't quite, but we'll just continue. What you can do is add any characters you want that you've created previously to the battle map. And there you can see my token got added in. You can resize it so that it's appropriately sized for the size of your map. And as the DM, you can also add NPCs, which right now are just spawning in as black squares. We haven't added the full functionality for them yet, but right now they're just used as placeholders so that combat can be facilitated well. And you can have the sort of same experiences that you would want to have in an encounter where you have enemies you're fighting against. So now I'm going to share my code with my players and send it over to Harrison so he can show you how the player functionality and spectate functionality works.
Yeah, I need the code for,
Yep, just sent it to the.
Thank you. So it's me just quickly copying over our code from the report. A little road, but that's the plan, and I should integrate it. And as you can see, Daniel has also connected. I'm Sir Runner. Daniel is Sir Hasselot. So I can see Jean, Charlie's character, I'm assuming, and then the two NPCs, but I can send chats, and that's really all you can do when you are spectating a room. To leave a room that you're spectating, just honestly, all you have to do is go to a different tab and you automatically leave. So instead, I'm going to use that same exact code to go into the player tab. So it's a little bit different, mainly on the bottom. I can again say send chats to out to everyone. I can add my character. Look at that, Hasbard, you're a big boy. We got to size you down. And then I can also update my initiative, just like Charlie can do for any character. So I can only update my characters. So Casbard is the only character I have in. He's the only one I can update. So he rolled poorly because he's a Gloomstalker Ranger. So if you play D&D, you know what I'm talking about. I believe that next we want to try a little bit of combat. So take away, Charlie.
Awesome. Thanks, Harrison. And so I just did some editing of our initiative list to add initiative values for all the characters. And once everyone's got their initiative in, you can go ahead and click Start Battle as the DM. And that will set the first player's turn up, and they will have available to them the ability to press End Turn. As the DM, I can end any player's turn at any time in case someone's asleep at the keyboard and they're too busy trying to do calculations for their stats and forget to press End Turn. I can do that to keep the facilitation moving. But then once it becomes one of my character's turns, I have to make sure I properly take their turn and then afterwards hit End Turn. And that will allow the prompts for the other players to know whose turn it is. The character token of the current player's turn is highlighted, and also their name is highlighted in the initiative list. You can also see in the right over here underneath the log, there's a steady stream of information about what's going on in the battle as it happens. So whenever someone moves or someone gets removed, or someone gets added or their initiative is updated, that all gets sent over to the log. Also, so let's say we get to a player's turn. This is John. Sorry, his image is a little bit hard to see, but let's see he manages to defeat one of these NPCs. Let's see he removes this one, and they're removed at that point from the initiative list. Then they're removed completely from the battlefield actually as well, and that way, so now you can see how the battle will slowly wind down after you get rid of all of the other players. And now once we get to Hasbard's turn, let's say he kills the last NPC on his turn or knocks them unconscious. depending on how the encounter is going. He will just click X on them, and then now the combat is ended. So you just go over here and press End Battle, and you have now completely ended all combat within this encounter. And yeah, so that's the essentials of combat in the room. If you guys remind me if there's anything else I missed in terms of combat. I think that's everything.
So yeah, that's everything in terms of combat. The final thing that you can do with a room is just straight up close it. That'll kick everyone out.
And you'll be prompted to just to make sure that you know that all of the whole initiative list and everything will be removed once you, and the chat list will be deleted if you leave the session or if you press end session. So it basically blows the whole thing up and gets rid of all the data, but you will not lose this map image or the name of the encounter or the notes that you saved originally. But once you press OK, it will bring you back to the home screen, and as you can see from Harrison's screen, he has also been sent back to the home screen after I click that button. So finally, I think the only thing left to do is go to our settings page, which is where you can do some account related activities. Here you can see the Google email that is associated with your account. That's just so you can easily find that information out without having to. It's just a good way to keep track of it, I guess. And yeah, just to remind you of that. And then down here you can change your username. And this section details like what I've already whatever I told you about usernames. They must be unique across all users. And once you change your username, that is no longer available for usage if someone else takes it. But you can always go back to it as well if no one else has taken it. But I'll just change mine right now just to show you how that works. And once I update my username, you'll see up here my name is now Charles. Furthermore, you can also go down to account actions, and you can either delete your account or log out. Logging out just sends you back to the unlogged in screen, which just allows you to spectate or access the help page, and which I will be showing you in a second. But if you hit the delete account button, all of your information is completely removed from our database. You are kicked out to the home screen, and all of the data that you had saved on our website is lost. Unless you have it saved somewhere else somehow, if you have it just by some miracle you saved it. But we will not be retaining any of that information once you hit delete account. One last thing I'll show you is over here on the drop-down menu in the top right screen. You can access user settings, help, and delete account, which are features I've just shown you now, but also under help, you'll find our user documentation. So if you ever need help figuring out how to do any of this stuff, you can always come back to this reference page and use either the video tutorials, which will walk you through different pieces of the app, basically just short chunks of what we've just gone through, or you can go to the how-tos, which will be just sort of text walkthroughs of each of the different features that the app has. So depending on whichever way you learn best or whatever information you need to know, go to either one of those different types of documentation to learn what you need. And yeah, you can also access the help page from home when you're logged in or logged out. You just need to click on the click here for help spot, or in the top right corner the help button should still be available. So yeah, that should be everything. I'll just delete my account real quick just to show you how that works. And now I'll be brought back to the home screen. And yeah, now if I try to log in with that same account, then I will be prompted to create a new username. Great. Yep, there it is. Okay. Well, I think that is everything. You guys let me know if I missed anything.
Nope. We're good.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
Yes. Have a great rest of your day.